so with respect to Stephen Prothero, we have 3 questions on here. First, what is the evidence that Americans are illiterate about religion? Dana?
He says that they took a poll and most American folks couldn't name one of the 4 gospels.
Right. Some of the poll research shows that Americans can't name some basic information about various different religions. What else? Evidence that Americans are illiterate about religious traditions.
Like the 9/11 aftermath deaths. Stuff.
Yeah, say more about that.
An Indian American was killed after 9/11 because he was wearing a turban in Arizona, and someone thought he was a Muslim.
Right.
A terrorist.
It's kind of a weird example to bring up because it's almost as if Stephen Prothero was saying, you know, if only he found a real Muslim to kill, which I presume that's not what he means. He's just pointing out the basic ignorance that if you wear a turban, it doesn't mean that you're Muslim. And the fact that people think that is pretty stupid. What else? Evidence of illiteracy.
The Waco Texas.
Yeah, what's he say about the Waco event? Well, let me ask this question. How old were you guys when Waco happened? Does anybody remember Waco? A couple of you, but you were probably pretty young. Okay. Yeah. So what happened at Waco that reflects the illiteracy of specifically the American government?
Well, the Davidians, that's who they created.
Yep.
They were, I guess, practicing like certain things that was against. That they had like guns and ammo there, and I guess they kind of misunderstood the religion. I'm not really sure.
But also it goes against like in the Davidians, they went against the law too because they were practicing polygamy and they were marrying girls at like 13 years old. So like that's...
Yeah, but the issue for Prothero was that when the FBI or the ATF, or maybe they did it together, raided them, how did it end?
They killed some of the, like 4 of the Asians got killed, a bunch of Davidians.
Yeah,
They set fire to the place.
almost all the Branch Davidians died. And Prothero's point was that this happened because the FBI didn't have any understanding of what this group's beliefs were, right? They're an apocalyptic group. You guys know what apocalypticism is by now, right? They think the end of the world is near. Well, if you think the end of the world is near and a government agency shows up with guns at your doorstep, is that going to calm you down or inflame your passion? Right? That's going to make you more agitated, right? And Prothero's point is that they seem to have very little understanding about how their actions might have exacerbated things, rather than they could have approached the issue in a different way that might have resulted in fewer deaths of the Branch Davidians. What's that?
I took it differently.
Oh, you took it differently?
I took it as like, they were doing stuff against the law and they didn't understand.
Oh, no. No, Prothero doesn't say that they weren't breaking the law. They clearly were. It's just that if the FBI had not raided the place the way that they did, maybe not all of them would have died.
But also they were firing back at them, weren't they? And like, isn't there evidence that says that they were the ones that set fire to the church, that it wasn't,
Yeah.
that it was from inside?
Yeah, but Prothero thinks, and I would agree with him, that if the FBI had any understanding about how apocalyptic groups work, this probably would have gone down differently. So yeah, he's not saying the Branch Davidians did nothing wrong. No, he's not saying that at all. But an understanding of their group, things may have turned out with fewer deaths. What else what else does he talk about that's evidence of religious illiteracy?
He talks about people calling Islam a religion of war, that they basically have no understanding of the religion of Islam tradition whatsoever.
Yeah, that's something that I've seen a lot in my studies after 9/11 is a lot of popular ignorance about Islam and the wide diversity of Islam. Like for instance, do you guys know where the most Muslims are in the world? Most people seem to think it's the Middle East, but it's not. It's Indonesia. How many of you guys knew Indonesia was the biggest center for Muslims in the world? Yeah. So people just don't know that much about Islam, but that doesn't prevent people from saying things about Islam, for instance. Second question, we've already touched on this, but what are the negative consequences for him for religious illiteracy? One, we've already touched upon. He thinks that Waco might have turned out different if the FBI had called in a religion expert, for instance, someone familiar with apocalypticism. It could have turned out differently. What other negative consequences perhaps follow from illiteracy?
He mentions the fact that Americans can easily be swayed left and right. Like they really can't, they can't challenge an idea or an issue because they just don't have any knowledge of it.
Yeah, if you don't know anything about Islam and I tell you it's a religion of war, you're like, okay, I guess, I don't know any different. Right? If you have no existing knowledge, you can be easily persuaded by propaganda, for instance. What else? Other possible negative consequences, Kristen?
He suggests that, like, without the knowledge of religion, that no one can be truly educated, because, like, without the knowledge, it can lead to ignorance.
Yeah, just kind of a general ignorance about this stuff is undesirable for him. Just being well informed for him is almost equated, or well, being a good citizen for him equates with being a well-informed citizen. And he thinks that if you're not well-informed, that's bad. Yeah.
He says religion has always been a major factor in U.S. politics and international affairs. Neither the American Revolution nor Civil War is comprehensible in a religion vacuum.
Yeah, to even understand American history or international relations, you should probably know something about American religious traditions and other religious traditions in the world. Doesn't he, oh, sorry, Dana.
Oh, no, I was just going to say something else different.
Yeah, go ahead.
He says there might be challenges on bringing up the next generation of ministers, priests, rabbis.
So, sorry, say that again.
He says there might be like challenges bringing up the next generation of like rabbis.
Oh. Yeah. The less people know about religion, the less likely we are to see religious people in the world. Which for some people that might be a good thing, for other people that might be a bad thing. But yeah.
What's that? Imam?
Imam, it's a quasi clergy member in Islam. It's not exactly like a priest, but it's a position of authority within Islam. Is it in this reading? I've read multiple things by Prothero, so I can't remember off the top of my head. But isn't it in this reading that he points out that you can be a U.S. ambassador to India without knowing anything about Hinduism or Islam? Does he say that here, or did he say that elsewhere? Darn. What? Well, okay. I guess he didn't say it here. Yeah. You don't have to have any prior knowledge. You could be an ambassador to Indonesia without any prior knowledge of Islam. And in fact, that there are ambassadors to foreign countries with heavy religious sentiments, or however you want to term it, who don't know anything about the traditions that they're going to work with. Now, you guys only read a tiny little slice of the introduction. Prothero's solution is twofold. He says that every high school student should do two things. They should take a class on world religions, and for him that includes Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Hinduism, and Buddhism, at least, these 5 world religions. And in addition, high school students should also take a class on the Bible, including the Hebrew Scriptures, or the Old Testament, and the New Testament. And he says that it should be done neutrally so it doesn't violate the First Amendment. Now, it's not in the passage that you guys read, but in the book, this is how he puts it. If the Bible courses proposed, if the Bible courses proposed here should not preach the Bible, neither should they debunk it.